it was just too loaded. I just thought there's no way that I'm going to be able to write about this. But what I realized when she died is that it was actually one of the only things that, I always think of it as like a life raft or something. It was one of the only things that kept me afloat was writing and was the music.
On this final episode of In Session at JackRabbit SoundShack Season 2, we sit down with singer-songwriter KELLEY McRAE. She and her husband Matt talk to us about life on the road. We learn about their song Let the Rest Fall Through and how they managed to hold on during some of life's biggest events. I'm David Biggs.
And I'm Vance Van Donselaar.
Hi, I'm KELLEY McRAE.
And I'm Matt Castelline.
And we are in session at JackRabbit SoundShack.
This song is This Side of Night by KELLEY McRAE.
I can't depend on your flame in the night. Gone are the days of the keeper of the light. Gone are the days of taking for granted grief will bear fruit. Your love was planted, and I know there's nothing I can do to make it right. I have my place now on this side of night. I got to live in the light of your love for so long. These are the days, learning to wait for the dawn. Gone are the days of counting the cost. There is no measure for what has been lost. And gone are the days of being a child. It is my turn now to watch over the wild ones, and I know there's nothing I can do to make it right. I have my place now on this side of night. I got to live in the light of your love for so long. These are the days, learning to wait for the dawn. Some days I can walk on water, some days I don't go under. Most days I'm sinking like a stone. Some days I catch myself, oh, I still catch myself waiting for you to come home. I know there's nothing I can do to make it right. I have my place now on this side of night. I got to live in the light of your love for so long. These are the days, learning to wait. These are the days, learning to wait for the dawn.
In Session at JackRabbit SoundShack started as an idea that sprang from seeing a singer-songwriter perform with her stripped-down ensemble of just pianist and singer. In between songs, the artist would open up, become vulnerable, and take you into her writing space. So the intimate nature of performance that singer-songwriters bring into In Session is very near and dear to us. KELLEY McRAE is an artist that allowed us to try and recreate that feeling for you, the listener, for our last episode of the season. So let's find out. Who is KELLEY McRAE?
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of a musical genre, we're certainly drawing from I mean, I grew up in a small town in Mississippi, and I think Southern American, Americana is the catch-all today.
Roots based, right?
Yeah.
Roots based.
So drawing from, I mean, I grew up listening to old school folk music, and Neil Young, and a lot of soul music, Aretha Franklin, Sam Cooke, Otis Redding. And so it's kind of a mixture of all that, and then sort of just the evolution of what worked between the two of us. So
Yeah.
we got out on the road. So we toured together, full time for 6 years of just like over 100 shows a year, just out there doing it. So a lot of the sound just evolved from
Just doing it.
yeah, what works and what do I want and what does he want, and then the brawl of like how to like write the song that does
Let's go.
both those
We'll go back.
things.
So in the beginning, Kelly was her own thing, and we were married, and you wanted to hit the road. We were living in New York City at the time, and Kelly wanted to hit the road, and I wasn't doing music. I've always played music, but not professionally like Kelly. And so she said, well, if we did this, maybe you could just be my guitar player, and we'll go play all these shows, and we'll do it, for a summer or whatever we said, and it'd be fun. And yeah, great. So let's do that. But that just kept going. And as we kept going, we kind of learned, all right, well, how do you take two acoustic guitars and make them entertaining? Or maybe that's not the right word. How do you make them?
Yeah, how do you make a show that's compelling? How do you have
Compelling,
2
yeah.
hours of music and of, storytelling as well? Because you can't just go up there and be like, my songs are so wonderful
Yeah.
that I don't have to even try to
Right,
entertain
you'll
you.
all listen.
Yeah.
How do you go to the deli, crappy, dirty bar in Oklahoma and get everybody they're like, Tuesday night,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're gonna strum your songs, like
Right, you're going to
how
sing
do you-
your heart out. You
what do you
really...
do?
It's one thing I really loved about the road is that you had to let go of the preciousness of the songs and of the music, and if it didn't connect, if it didn't work, you let it go. And then the other thing is how can you create real energy with just two voices and two guitars? And so a lot of our goal was, one, to write better songs, and two, to have a full night where people really did experience a range of emotions. When I was on my own in New York City, writing as a solo artist, I was writing a lot of the same type of songs, and so when we got out together, we realized it doesn't really work. You have to explore the range of people's lives and people's emotions and people's stories, because if you want to connect with them and then you want to keep them present in the room with you for 2 hours, you owe them that. And good songwriting is the first and foremost what will do that, but then also understanding who you are as an artist and what you do want to say. What are the things that mean enough to me that night after night after night, I want to tell this story, and I want you to understand these things that have been a part of my life, because I think that they're true enough to encompass the both of us. And I was definitely I'm totally pretty much self-taught. And so I was very focused on the lyrics and the emotion and 3 chords and the truth, man. If you can just give them 3 chords and the truth, and Matt comes from a much more nuanced musical place. And so what I learned along the way with Matt is that if my craft can get better, if I can be a more steady rhythm guitarist, if I can bring in more interesting chord structure or song structure, that it really does, it makes the song and the emotion and the lyrics more compelling. Wouldn't you say that was a big part of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been on a little bit of a hiatus from the live stuff for a while, and we did this thing the other night where we played a bunch of new songs that we've been working really hard, kind of under the microscope, the studio or whatever. And we really love all of the everything that we're doing, but then you take them out in front of an audience and you realize, oh, they're like all the same. We're doing like we're playing like 4 of the same songs back to back emotionally.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work. Even if they're each good, you know, you do it, the first one might land the punch, and then the second one doesn't really, and the third one like doesn't land at all. You know what I mean? You gotta do other stuff.
You can't just bum everybody out for 4 songs in a row, right? Like it's
Maybe
not
you
cool.
can, yeah.
So what happened is we had the show on Thursday, and by Saturday we had written 2 new songs
They were like
that were totally different feel.
Yeah.
Because it was that realization of I owe the people in this room something more than just how, even if it's true, you know, this one feel that, it's more fun that way. You know, it's just.
But it's something, you know, I mean, if we weren't on the road for a while and we just started doing it, you know, we started doing it naturally. It's funny how the road keeps you, you know, honest. Like, you might like that song a lot, and maybe that song is awesome, and maybe when you put it in the context of these other songs, maybe it's great, but you can't do them all back to back like that. You know?
I think it's one reason that I wanted to get off the road, though, is because we were writing
for the
road.
Right.
And I think that is also
That's
its
a
own
trap.
trap.
Yeah. That's
And I wanted, you know, life came along and knocked me off my feet, and I literally couldn't take another step anyways. But I wanted to be able to dive deep into like 10 songs about death, woo, you know, and not have repercussions of how much money I was making every night. Like I needed to be able to write in that way. So it's a balance, though. It's really good now to be kind of emerging from that place.
And you can't write a song that's just going to be like filler for a happy time in the set.
We
like
try.
That song will
really
never
bad
last.
at it.
Yeah. That song will never last.
We're
And
really
maybe
bad at
and it
that.
might hang around live for too long, and then you go to the studio and it just crumbles.
Yeah.
And you're like, well,
Yeah.
that was a terrible song. Why did we do that?
Yeah.
You know? That was dumb.
Both the studio microscope and the road of the sort of the bigger picture, they both have their own benefits in terms of the songs, and certainly in terms of the craft as well. I had a producer, the first album I ever recorded, he said, you know, I come from an acting background, and he said, you know, I want you to think of the studio like a movie. Everything is right here, you know, and a live show is like the stage, you know, you're singing for the last row or whatever, but so that helps a lot in terms of.
But I feel like the greats, the people we love, I should say, that they sort of like make it the same.
Make it work. Yeah.
You know? Like somehow a Neil Young record still rocks and is loose and is fun, just like the show was. And they're really not that different from each other.
Right.
Yeah. We're really after that magic point in the middle where.
Between studio and live.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be so different?
Yeah.
You know?
This is Ghost by KELLEY McRAE.
If you were here, you'd make me feel alright. Your faith would get me through the night. You walk straight through the mystery. You did not feel what you couldn't see. I know that I don't again, and that this mess is not the end. You walk straight through the misery. You made the life that you wanted to see. I know that I don't believe, but still, ooh, still I feel the need. I know I don't believe. I know I don't believe. I know I don't believe. Still I feel the need.
Musicians can spend a lot of time on the road. As an emerging artist, the only way to get heard is to get heard, and that means playing in front of as many faces as you can. And as we heard in the Fleshlights episode, being on the road can be tough. Kelly and Matt lived on the road for years after leaving their home in New York. Their experiences created something for them that is priceless and something from which we can all learn. We wanted to hear that story. What was it like hitting the road together?
You know, we said, it's funny, we look back now and we're like, what the hell were we thinking? I don't know. I think it was partially living in New York. You know, we've been living in New York for a while, and we had a lot of friends who were doing crazy things all the time, you know, like friends who want to be a puppeteer for a living, and they are a puppeteer for a living. And so, you know, you're inspired by those people that, and they're all around you all the time. So the idea of like Kelly hitting the road was like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're an artist. Let's do it. You
And
know?
we were just talking about this the other night. I was desperately unhappy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think change happens in your life
it's hard to look back at that.
because you're unhappy, right? You don't change unless you have to change. Change is hard. And I think I just got to the point where I wasn't growing as an artist. I wasn't writing the songs I wanted to write. And I knew something radical had to happen in my world for my life to be inspiring again.
And you'd been working really hard at music, so, you know, I don't think we ever sat down and were like, before we do this, or, you know, before we make you quit so that we can have, you know, a regular life or whatever, you have to do this. But I do think there was part of it. We were kind of like, you've been doing this, you've been putting a lot into this. You have people out there who listen to your music around the world.
Let's go meet them.
Let's go meet them.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't think we ever talked about it, but I think we were like, before we, you know, really, you know, have like a sedentary lifestyle, let's go and do it.
Yeah, before we have a house or a kid
Yeah, exactly.
or whatever, like
while we don't
you
have
know,
the
we don't have any of
strains.
those pressures, and we don't want any of those pressures at that time. Like, so let's go do this. And the moment that happened, that sort of was like the aha moment. We had escaped the city and gone up to the Catskill Mountains, and we were just playing for fun, like we would do. We'd brought our guitars in this beautiful valley. It was a ridiculous day. And it sounded really good. Matt sounded amazing on my song, and I thought, no, you did. And I thought, this sounds really good. Why are we not doing this together? And I said in that moment, as a joke, what if we hit the road together?
Yeah.
Like, what if we just did this and hit the road? And Matt said, yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew he was serious, and we kind of knew in that moment, like,
We were super excited in the very beginning. I remember driving out of New York City, like literally driving out of the shop that I used to work out of. We had the van and we were kind of fixing it up. So I remember driving up out of the shop and like, here we go. What's going to happen? And then literally 2 weeks later, you're like weeping in a Walmart parking lot. You know what I mean?
What
Like totally.
doing?
Totally. And then everything in between. And, you know, man, it was, I mean, we went coast to coast that first year. We played like 100 house shows through your email list. They weren't like established house shows. They were like, you like Kelly's music? We'll come play
People
in your
willing to
garage.
take a risk and
Yeah.
say like, all right, cool, I'll host a house show. You know, like
It was wacky.
It
It was
was-
awesome. But
it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And the thing that I think sustained us for so long is one, you know, when I lived in New York, I was sort of beaten down, and it's one of those cities that you just got to be on like all the time, right? Like, and there actually was like a softness to being out in the world, because what we experienced
Oh my
was this
gosh.
like incredible kindness and
yeah.
generosity.
Oh my gosh, it's
And
crazy.
the kind of people that are going to support live music and support, you know, roving
Oh my
musicians
gosh.
are truly, you know, they tend to be these just beautiful souls that aren't in it for any other agenda or reason other than they love music. They love live music. So that sustained us. That sort of wave of the kindness of people, all kinds of people all over the world. And then the other thing that sustained us, I would say, more than anything, is that the music
Yeah.
itself got better. We got better.
That's
the
what it was
songs
all
got
about.
better.
I mean, honestly, we were just so hell bent on getting better, and I remember this was like we started in New York, and we basically drove down to Austin. It took like 2 weeks of shows to get to Austin. We did South by Southwest, and then right after that we went to Dallas, and we played at the Opening Bell Coffee House. And I remember that was we were playing a song, and there was a moment, there was like a spark of something, and it was like, oh, that's what we should be doing. It's like one little moment of one song. And then it just, that rest of that year was all about like taking that moment, stretching it out, and like figuring out how to do that.
Yeah,
more.
you start to chase the thing that's working, and you start to string those moments along until you
yeah.
have like a fuller.
We played like a coffee shop in New Hampshire to like 5 people, and then after the show, we'd be talking about, well, I think that we should do that chord and that. And I mean, we were just like obsessed with like making it better, always.
Yeah, and I teach songwriting. We teach songwriting every summer to teenagers, and so we've taught hundreds of teenagers at this point over the last 6 years. And the truth of the matter for any artist is that you have to go out there and put in the hours, just hours and hours and hours of no one caring. And that's actually really
And
good.
really, that's
you
all
know,
that matters.
it's actually the best thing you can do is just go out there and play and play and play and play and play, because that's how you're going to get better, and that's how you're going to start to write songs that really sustain you through all kinds of nights, through the great nights and through the bad nights. And the music is going to be the thing that sustains you.
Like, we were just in another room working on a new song, and it's just so easy. Like, we can just sort of do it.
And the thing about the road that's so beautiful is that if you've written the song and you've worked on your craft and you have the song and you can stand in front of people and the moment actually works, like what you intended to communicate is communicating, and that becomes this sort of like, I think of it as like a circle of energy between whoever's present there with you and you being present there with them. Like, if that happens, that's addictive. You know, that wave of energy is the thing that you look for and is the thing that you hope for every song. And so the song's not really done until that moment happens and you know, okay, I am actually connecting here. It's not just me in my bedroom or whatever. It's actually working. And that's the thing that I desire the most, is to connect.
Thank you for listening to In Session at JackRabbit SoundShack. We wanted to remind you that if you like what you hear, please subscribe to our show.
And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to tap the notification bell so you never miss an artist. Okay, now on with the show.
This song is A Little Time by Kelly McRae.
Your voice is like a blanket. I am tired from the cold. Won't you come over and stay well and hold me till I'm old? Your hands day I spend. Let someone else have the glory. Let someone else have the fame. I just want a little time to walk with you through these days. Let someone else have the fortune. Let someone else live in ease. I just want a little time for you and me. You have been the sun my heart revolves around. By your faith I've known the days. By your love I've known the hours. But the night it is upon me, and I know it will be long. It's my hardest journey. It's my darkest dawn. Let someone else have the glory. Let someone else have the fame. I just want a little time to walk with you through these days. Let someone else have the fortune. Let someone else live in ease. I just want a little time for you and me. Alone in open country, I must find a new way. You show me how to look for beauty, how to live in this hard grace. But my heart, it wants a way back to what's been lost, to the simplest of days, to the joy that your laugh brought. Let someone else have the glory. Let someone else have the fame. I just want a little time to walk with you through these days. Let someone else have the fortune. Let someone else live in ease. I just want a little time for you and me.
In 2017, Kelly experienced great heartache with the passing of her mother due to an aggressive cancer. Very shortly thereafter, in early 2018, she was blessed with a baby girl. Life's never-ending eagerness to push and pull us moves us into who we are. Kelly was gracious enough to talk to us about how some of life's absolute biggest events were processed and molded into some very personal music.
When my mom was diagnosed with a very aggressive cancer, and so we kind of knew that wouldn't be a lot of time. And at that point, you know, you just drop everything, and I went and spent as much time as I could with her, and you're just living. The music doesn't matter at all in those moments in terms of everything we've just talked about, this sort of heady thing, you know. You're just drinking up every second and every moment that you have with this person. And so we canceled all the shows, and we, you know, and we just let it all go.
That's actually kind of how we stopped playing on the road. I mean,
that was the moment.
We're done.
So, you know, I thought that, you know, as my mom was sick, you know, I kind of thought, in the back of my mind, I thought, I'm not going to be able to write about this because it's just too much. You know, she was an incredible force of a woman, and she lived a truly beautiful life and was this amazing mom. And so there I was in this moment where I was, you know, pregnant with a little girl myself, and it was just too loaded. I just thought, there's no way that I'm going to be able to write about this. But what I realized when she died is that it was actually one of the only things that, you know, I always think of it as like a life raft or something. It was one of the only things that kept me afloat was writing and was the music. And we actually wrote that song, A Little Time. I had been writing that the week that my mom died. So she died sort of unexpectedly, even though she had been sick. And so I had been writing that song that week in a different form. And on the plane from Austin to Knoxville, I finished that song. And so it became clear to me that the only way I was actually going to be able to survive the grief was through the music and through the songs, which I was really grateful for on a couple levels. And then we had Lila, and I realized it was like another level of freedom. So my mom dying was a level of freedom because you don't give a shit about anything anymore other than the people that you love and the things that are at your core. Man. You know, you let go of ego in a lot of sense. And so
at that point we could, you know, sit, kind of look back at everything, kind of like look, you know, kind of not look back, but like look above it and be like, oh, right, that's stupid, that's stupid, that's stupid, that's stupid. Right. That matters.
It helps you focus. And so then we had Lila, and then there was this freedom. So there was a freedom that came out of grief, and then there was this other freedom that came out of this joy, this incredible joy like I had never experienced before with her. And so I don't know, I would say that the experience of it has been that I've been given this moment in time to just write for the sake of survival, and to not worry about what would work at a show. And I was privileged enough to be able to do that and have a home and have, you know, have a life where I could do that. And so, and then the last piece I would say is that what I realized this summer as I was still writing about my mom, and particularly the song that we recorded today, This Side of Night, I said to Matt at a certain point, and this is kind of a gross metaphor, but I was like, in writing that song, I felt a certain amount of healing. And I said, it's not like the wound isn't there. Like, it's still there. It's still horrific. But it's like, it's not as infected. It's a super gross metaphor. But it's like, there's something about creating art and about writing songs that it's not like you're going to ever heal completely from that loss.
You're processing some things that if you didn't have that, you know, outlet, it'd be hard to work through all of those thoughts and ideas.
You're not poisoned by it anymore. Yeah. It can almost become something that, there's that line I say of like, you know, grief will bear fruit where your love was planted. And I've started to think about my mom less in the way of like negativity of oh my God, I'll never have her again, and more in a sense of gratitude of being amazed that I ever got to call her my own, because she was so incredible. That I ever had that gift at all is insane. And so I think that has freed me. I think I got to that point because I got to write those songs about it, and because of Lila and her present joy of just every day being like, I'm alive, you're alive, this is awesome, you know. And so that has all sort of infused itself in the music, I think, I hope.
This song is called Your Heart by Kelly McRae.
Last thing she talked about was the sound of your heartbeat. She was right there beside you, though you never got to meet. She had been waiting for you her whole life long. The sound of your name on her lips was the sweetest song. And you were the grace that came to us in the deep dark, in the deep dark. And we waited breathlessly for the beating of your heart, your heart. Your light was growing strong and hers was growing dim. She walked those final miles to where the river bends. If she is still out there, if there is still more, I know that you are the heart of her joy. 'Cause you were the grace that came to us in the deep dark, in the deep dark. And we waited breathlessly for the beating of your heart, your heart. You were the grace that came to us in the deep dark, in the deep dark. And we waited breathlessly for the beating of your heart, your heart. We waited breathlessly for the beating of your heart, your heart.
When Kelly and Matt were in the studio, they shared so much with us. The fact that they were willing to get so personal about their lives and experience is exactly what drives us to do this, to put together this show. Between segments, we talk to each other about connection and how at the very core of things, that's what I feel we're all looking for. And connection is exactly what Kelly and Matt opened up to today, and things in the studio got heavy. So when I heard them perform Let the Rest Fall Through, it sounded like a song about being in the present and letting the rest go. if just for a little while. I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, that was written actually, even though it sort of talks about, I mean, the first line says, when I die, no one might remember anything I've done. It was written before my mom died, before she was sick.
Most of the lyrics are older.
Yeah.
I can't remember when that one started exactly.
I think on the road
Towards the end.
Yeah,
We
towards
were
the
playing
end
on
in
the road.
Germany or something.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think it's about being present and enjoying that moment. So we, towards
right.
the end of being
Yeah.
on the road.
Yeah. That's the one we did. I was playing, is that the one Heidelberg?
Yep.
I was playing it and then you started singing it. So I think the original inspiration was kind of like exhaustion of trying to become something. Maybe, am I saying that right?
Yeah, to be on the road and to be musicians who are always kind of striving to project a lifestyle and project yourself, to advertise yourself all the time, which is a part of it that I found hard. And so, yeah, I think that song came out of a place of thinking about the things and the moments that where those moments in life where you are not anywhere else in your mind or in your heart. You're just really present with those people. And I think about our bass player has a little boy named Ira, and he is so present, and we have always just loved this kid. And whenever we get to spend time with Brent and Martina and their sons, it's like the world stops spinning for me. Like all I want to do is be in that moment, you know, and I have no worries or anxieties or agenda other than just being present in the joy of that moment. And so I think that we were in Germany, but I was thinking about how do I create a life where it's more of that, you know. And my heart, the road was amazing, but my heart started to long for what that moment would look like, which would be creating our own family and creating our own home and our own life and being in community. There's this great quote that I've sort of been obsessed with recently by Herbie Hancock, where he talks about you have to learn how to be a human being first and foremost. You can't hide behind a profession or an instrument. You have to learn how to be human and have the inspiration of a real life and real connection and real community be the thing that you draw from. And I started to realize that I needed to go do the work of figuring out what my life was and what kind of human I wanted to be, because the road is such a very specific set of tools and set of connections. And they were rich, but it was time to build that family and to build that community and that home. So I think that song came out of that longing.
But then we've been tinkering with it. So, you know, we were talking a lot about it as we were recording, about it being brand new, because musically it's changed, and we've been trying to find a new way into it and trying to find like more of an honest way into it. Before we were singing Let the Rest Fall Through, and then we're doing all this like ooh, like in between. And then we've been trying to figure out like, no, it's like too many different tricks and things. Like how can you just like get to the point?
Simplify it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what would, you know, John Prine do, or
Right,
what would,
that was
what
our
would
guiding
Willie
light.
do? You
Yeah.
know, that's yeah.
This is Let the Rest Fall Through by KELLEY McRAE.
1, 2, 3.
When I die, no one might remember anything I've done, anything I've done. Just an ordinary life with all the pleasures and sorrows that come, sorrows will come. We've been running hard, trying to get ahead. I just can't remember lot that I have done. There's a lot that I could do, but there's not a moment wasted when I'm here with you. Let the rest fall through. See, no guarantees are given for the time we have, for the time we have. You're just like a honeybee, just like a breath. All our days will pass, all our days will pass. We've been running hard, trying to get ahead. I just can't remember what we're trying to get. There's a lot that I have done, there's a lot that I could do, but there's not a moment wasted when I'm here with you. Let the rest fall through. Something you can choose, or the kind of love we got. It sure is something you can lose. Let the rest fall through. Let the rest fall through. Ooh. Let the rest fall through.
Kelly McRae is joined in her music and on her adventure by her husband, Matt Castelline, and new daughter, Lila.
JackRabbit SoundShack wants to thank Kelly and Matt for showing us what it can be like to see things from a new perspective.
You can find her records on iTunes and Google Play, along with her website, kelleymcrae.com. KELLEYMCRAE.com.
And I, David Biggs,
and Vance Van Donselaar,
want to thank you,
our listener, for allowing us to bring our passion a little closer to you.
Without you, none of this would be possible. As an added bonus for this being our last episode of the season, we wanted to finish with a 6th song from Kelly McRae. Thank you all so much. We'll be with you again soon. This last song is called If You Need Me by Kelly McRae, recorded live for In Session at JackRabbit SoundShack.
All right.
Didn't you feel that?
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Like, I know this song. All right. Here we go.
It's one of those days with lights just so, and I've taken all my worries and I let them go, and all the dreams that came before, they all drifted away to some distant shore. He a star that's burning red and clear. Finally old enough to know anything worth holding on to is worth letting go. If you need me, I'll be here, wishing on a star that's burning red and clear. Finally old enough to know anything worth holding on to is worth letting go. Anything worth holding on to is worth letting go. Anything worth holding on to is worth letting go.